Thank you for tuning in. This presentation is just to go over and make sure that you're aware of some of the assessment rules with the BTEC course that you're enrolled in. The reason I'm doing this talk is I'm what's called the lead internal verifier, so I do monitor lots of the other assessors' work at Capital City College, and I check the marking, I check the checking of the marking as well. Right, so assessment of your BTEC course. For those of you on a BTEC First Level 3 Extended Diploma, you'll be assessed in two ways. 1/3 of your marks will come from national exams, and 2/3 by internal assessments. So I'm focusing on internal assessments. Each internally assessed unit will have between 2 and 4 assignments. And hopefully the assessor will tell you how many assignments you've got for each unit. But I'll make a note of that. So, now features of an assignment. I know it's a bit small. This is just a chemistry assignment. No, it's a microbiology assignment. There'll be an issue date and a submission date. So that's the date you're giving the assignment. That's the date it's due in, and I'll talk about the importance of submission dates. And that's the actual date. You can fill this in before you submit the work electronically with the date you actually submit it. And you can put your name there. The work is organised in tasks. Each learning aim, that's a set of work, is put in one single task. It encompasses all the work. So you've got follow instructions, you've got compare, do the comparison, evaluate, all one task. This one task covers these criteria. Your assessor will hopefully guide you through some of the verbs like evaluate, compare, explain, correctly set up. Those words. That's not my job. My job is just to mention how we work with the assignments today. So the time between your handout date and due date is normally 2 weeks, but that can vary. If it's a very small assignment or you've been done some work, it could take something that might be less, but an assessor could give you longer, depending on how much work there is. If you have a holiday coming up. The task will indicate what you have to do. There is a separate checklist of evidence saying what you need to provide, and that could be things like a report, a booklet, a leaflet, a video, a questionnaire, whatever. It says what you have to do. So you should check that to make sure when you submit the assignment you've covered all the evidence you need. And then the assessment criteria lists what you're actually being assessed for. So this is where you get, did you achieve D1, M1, M2, P1, and P2. Okay? So, you submit your work on Moodle. Now your assessor will show you how to do this, or your tutor. Please ask for guidance when you're first doing this, but we want you to do it. We're not going to do it for you. The key, once you're logged in, okay, and looking at your assignment, the key icon is this icon here. Let's click on that to upload. And you're uploading work as a Word document, specific Word document, not a shared document. It has to be a direct upload in Word format. You can't upload a PDF because Turnitin cannot cope with the PDF. It's got to be a Word document. This program, by the way, just checked for plagiarism and AI use as well. So we will mark the work on that. Right, assignment deadlines. Now, why are they important? You must submit the assignment by the due date. Okay? This is a Pearson requirement. It's not our qualification. It's a Pearson qualification, and they insist that work must be submitted by the due date. If a submission is late, you will not be allowed to resubmit the assignment. That could put you at risk of failing the assignment if you're not careful. You should attempt all the criteria you're aiming to achieve on the first submission. Do not rely on resubmissions. And please note, resubmission is automatic. So this is a bit of a myth that some students come in. They can just do the pass on the first assignment and then automatically get the resubmission to attempt the merit distinction. That is not the case. And I'm communicating that to all the other assessors as well. So that's what I'm telling the assessors. Right. Check your feedback. So you're expected to access Moodle yourself to read the feedback. So again, I encourage you learners not to tell you what grade you got, but to show you how to check your feedback on Moodle. Click on the pen icon, check the criteria awarded. So for example, we've got here, no for D1, this student's done pretty well, they've got yes for all the others. And it looks like they've been authorised for resubmission, which is good. This is the most important feedback is under the general comments. There will be feedback on your work, but actually, this is the most important feedback in this part of the assessment record. If you notice, yeah, you conducted some detailed research, and so it said what they've done well, but I've also said what they didn't do. Okay? You did not back up your hypothesis. So guess what? When they do the resubmission for D1, if they choose to do so, they don't have to, that's what they didn't do, that's what they need to do. That's why feedback and general comments is very important to look when you're planning if you have a resubmission or not, what you're going to do. Your teacher can only give you very limited guidance, so you need to look at that. Now, do you have a resubmission? If the no is blocked out, and the section where it says resubmission authorised by legal internal verifier, currently me, you have a signature there, and a date they looked at it, I looked at it, and then you'll have that. Now, we may write a date here, or you may write to be confirmed. We'll let you know later on when the resubmission deadline is. Both sections completed. Do not ask your tutor, please learn to check yourself. Okay, and then make a note you have, make a note when the resubmission deadline is coming up. You must submit their assignment by the due date. If submission is late, you will not be eligible for a resubmission. You must attempt all the criteria you aim to achieve in the first submission. I think I already mentioned that. Are we able reasons why you did not get a resubmission? Now, so you may be disappointed you weren't authorised for resubmission. There's not enough work for merit or distinction to justify. You must have made a serious attempt, not just a tiny bit. You must have made an attempt trying to get it. Work was submitted late without negotiating and completing an extension form before the due date. Or work was not your own. Plagiarised another learner, copied from the internet sources without really any input from yourself, or you've misused ChatGPT or other AI to write the work for you. All of those mean you will not get resubmission. And again, that puts you at risk of failing the unit, which also then puts you at risk of failing the whole course. So if you want to be back next year, you need to make sure you follow the rules. And again, it's Pearson who set the rules, not Capital City College. So, resubmission deadlines, typically it's 1 week for completion of resubmission. But if it's a tiny amount, we may give you an hour of the lesson. Resubmission during the end of the lesson. Could be slightly longer. If you hand your resubmission in late, it may be marked in full. However, please note, it will not be eligible for retake. We do have actually the option to not mark it if it's after the due date. However, this is an absolute Pearson rule. If you submit your resubmission 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks after the release of feedback of the first submission, we cannot mark it. That's it, can't mark it. Unless you've got an authorised extension, which you've talked about with evidence with your tutor and or your teacher. Retakes. Please note, anybody in the BTEC first not eligible for, these are really an emergency and last chance to get a pass. So really we try not to do retakes. But occasionally a student on the first and resubmission haven't passed, they still have this option as a last chance emergency. However, to be eligible, your first and your resubmission must have been submitted on time, and there must be no plagiarism or AI misuse. And just to let you know, they're a whole new assignment only targeted at pass criteria. What happens? I'm not happy with my grade or lack of resubmission. Well, once you've got feedback, please note, first of all, that a sample of those have been checked by another assessor before feedback's released. So, another experienced assessor has checked the work. Here's a question some students have. I'm not happy with my grade or lack of resubmission. So here's what you should know. First of all, when you receive feedback for an assignment, please note it would have been checked by a second assessor. Not necessarily your work, but at least 3 learners from your class would have been checked by another assessor. That's called internal verification. We can only release feedback once the work has been checked and approved. So if you're still not happy, talk to the assessor, request them to go through, whether it's in the class or after the class, just to go through why didn't you get M1 or why didn't you authorise a resubmission. You go through that. This is actually the first stage in any appeal, going through the assessor. Now, if you're still unhappy, what you can do is you have your tutor assessor completing the appeals form. You fill it in, including make notes, you've done this first of all. Nothing will happen here unless you've actually written that you've done this with the assessor. And then you write down what exactly you disagree with, whether it's I don't disagree with the non-award of M1, or I disagree that I didn't get a resubmission for this. Give it, print it out, filled in, give it to the assessor, they will pass it to the internal verifier, that other person involved who will then double check, mark them carefully. 9 times out of 10 things don't change, but you never know. Occasionally assessors, and myself included, make mistakes. Very occasionally it might change, but in most cases it won't. Grades at the Prom Monitor, please check your progress regularly on Prom Monitor, okay? See how you're doing. Know, okay, what did you get for Sum 1? What you're entitled for. Make a note of it somewhere. Tell your parents what you've got, keep a track of it. Right, we're now going to finish this off. You have a quiz to do on Microsoft Forms. You need to complete this. Your tutor will monitor whether you've completed or not. You all need to complete it so that we make sure that we know that you are aware of the assessment rules. But all good luck and do well for the rest of the year. Thank you.